2 years after Big Jook was gunned down outside a Memphis restaurant, Memphis rapper BEO Lil Kenny ended up at the center of one of the wildest internet firestorms the city had seen in years.
Y'all want to know the real reason Big Jook got killed? He was lazy. Yeah, I said it.
A chaotic police chase, viral footage, and a man allegedly dragged out of a row of bushes instantly sent social media into overdrive. Memphis pages exploded, YouTube channels started connecting dots, comment sections turned into full-blown investigations, and while Yo Gotti stayed completely silent through all of it, the streets were already asking the question everybody wanted answered. Had they finally found the man connected to Big Jook's killing?
Where were you when you found out that Big Jook had got killed?
Man, I was on the way here.
Let's get into it. Around mid-January 2026, clips started flooding across Memphis social media pages showing heavy police activity on the Westwood side of the city. Flashing lights covered the block, officers swarmed the neighborhood while helicopters reportedly circled overhead. In the middle of all the chaos was Kenneth Mason, better known in Memphis underground rap circles as BEO Lil Kenny.
If you know what I'm saying, look around, you'll see certain people saying certain things. And, you put two and two together. But, yeah, condolences is what it is, though.
According to early reports spreading through local blogs and street pages, Kenny allegedly led police on a high-speed chase through Memphis before abandoning the vehicle and trying to escape on foot. The moment that turned the situation viral came shortly after. Officers reportedly found him hiding inside a row of bushes, dragging him out while cameras rolled from nearby phones and police footage spread online almost instantly. Within hours, screenshots, clips, and mugshots were everywhere. Facebook timelines, Instagram reels, YouTube breakdowns, TikTok edits. Every platform seemed to push the same narrative. BEO Lil Kenny had finally been caught.
All I want to say is it was expected because I feel like I wasn't expecting it to happen because the Jook that I know, I thought Jook would have been moving better, but
some posts claimed investigators had quietly identified him months earlier and were simply waiting for the right moment to move in. Others pushed even heavier theories, suggesting that CMG affiliates and people tied to Yo Gotti's circle had already figured out who was responsible for Big Jook's murder long before the arrest footage surfaced publicly. Whether true or not, the speculation spread at lightning speed. Almost overnight, a rapper who mostly operated inside Memphis underground circles became the hottest conversation in hip-hop media.
To Jook's defense, he had some security out there with him, but he ain't had the right people. Because when them pulled up, Jook had a officer standing right there with him with 100 shots, and the officer took out running. You know what I'm saying? So he had the wrong person.
To understand why the reaction became so intense, you have to understand what Big Jook's name meant inside Memphis. When Big Boogie later spoke publicly about hearing the news of Big Jook's death, his reaction said everything about the weight the situation carried. He described being completely stunned while driving, trying to process what had happened in real time. That response reflected the atmosphere across the city. Big Jook wasn't viewed as some random industry figure. His death felt like a major shift inside Memphis power structures. So when BEO Lil Kenny got pulled from those bushes nearly 2 years later, the city immediately locked in. People quickly started digging through Kenny's music catalog looking for clues. His songs already lived heavily inside Memphis street culture. References to rivals, violence, city politics, and survival were common throughout his music. Once internet detectives started replaying certain bars, some listeners became convinced he had subtly referenced details connected to Big Jook's murder.
Bro, they didn't kill Young Dog, bro. What the f? Bro, ain't no way these folks just killed Dog. Ain't no way these folks just straight came and ran down on Dolph. Dead ass. I figured it. That's what I'm saying. Damn. I'm supposed to be on some pay that shit, baby. Bro, no. These folks just straight kill Young Dog.
Comment sections exploded with accusations of self-snitching. Certain lyrics were reposted over and over again, with users claiming only someone directly involved could know specific details being referenced. Memphis bloggers and commentary pages added fuel to the fire by suggesting the streets had already been piecing things together quietly long before any police chase became public. That became the real engine behind the BEO Lil Kenny rumor machine. The city started building theories out of fragments, lyrics, timing, affiliations, body language, old photos, social media follows, and street rumors. Nothing needed to be confirmed for the internet to run with it.
I know he got one because he spoke. He said the day that he killed Dolph, he was trying to earn some money to get a birthday present or something. You know, which is some of the craziest shit ever. You know, for you to say that, for you to go take another man's life or an artist that's done helped the city and, you know, and give out turkeys every year because you're trying to get your daughter a birthday present. Man, you should be able to go charge a bitch for a birthday gift. Yeah, that was wild, you know, so that should give...
It taught me a lot about Memphis right there.
Yeah,
man.
that should give people a better idea of what kind of person that we talking about here.
Then came the image that symbolized the entire moment. The bushes. The fact that Kenny was allegedly found hiding in bushes after running from police instantly became internet mythology. Memphis YouTube pages framed the footage almost like symbolism, a man supposedly hiding from consequences that had been chasing him for years. Some pages went even further, describing it like Big Jook's killer getting dragged out of the shadows. Others pushed narratives claiming Yo Gotti had finally cornered the people responsible for his brother's death.
And the silence from Yo Gotti only made the speculation louder. Since Big Jook's murder in January 2024, Yo Gotti had rarely spoken publicly about the situation. Outside of cryptic lyrics, indirect social media posts, and subtle references through people close to him, the collective music group founder stayed mostly quiet. No emotional interviews, no press conferences, no direct statements. So when the Lil Kenny chase exploded online and Gotti still said nothing, many people interpreted the silence as confirmation rather than restraint.
If it was $100,000 on the table that I'm not aware of, then yeah, I could see, bro, you know what I'm saying, going with a move.
Rumors quickly spread, claiming Kenny had been booked in the Shelby County on charges tied directly to Big Jook's murder. Other posts claimed investigators were still building the case. Every repost added new layers to the story. Chase footage became evidence in the eyes of the internet. Mugshots became courtroom exhibits before any official charges were even announced publicly. Then came the moment that shifted the conversation again. Shortly after being released, BEO Lil Kenny addressed the rumors directly. In clips that circulated heavily across Memphis pages, Kenny denied having anything to do with Big Jook's killing. He spoke about social media turning rumors into accepted truth and described how the internet had amplified everything around his name. According to him, investigators questioned him extensively because of how loud the online speculation had become. One line in particular went viral almost immediately. He called the internet a dangerous drug. That phrase became a headline by itself. For people convinced he was guilty, the statement sounded like damage control after finally getting exposed. For others, it highlighted how quickly online narratives can spiral out of control without evidence ever being fully confirmed.
Him a few times, talk to him, and then he ghost him like that?
Yep. He said it's too high, I'll pay you when it cool down. Never paid him.
Either way, the entire Big Jook conversation suddenly became bigger than just Memphis streets. It became a case study in how internet culture can transform speculation into accepted reality almost overnight. What made everything feel even stranger was the timing. Kenny's police chase happened almost exactly 2 years after Big Jook was killed outside Perignon's restaurant and event center in January 2024. For people already convinced Big Jook's murder was retaliation connected to the killing of young Dolph, the timing felt almost cinematic. To understand why those theories became so powerful, though, you have to go back to the day Big Jook himself was killed.
Send him a letter with $500, I think.
Oh, Jook was a rotten motherfucker. he was a rotten motherfucker. So them hadn't even talked to Jook before. They just heard it was a $100,000 hit.
No, they talked to him on the phone on FaceTime a few times through a middleman, and I think they met him one or two times.
On January 13th, 2024, around 4:15 p.m., gunfire erupted outside Perignon's restaurant on Winchester Road in the Hickory Hill area of Memphis. An off-duty officer nearby reportedly heard the shots and rushed toward the scene. By the time authorities arrived, 2 men had been hit. One of them was Big Jook. Reports stated he suffered multiple gunshot wounds while inside a vehicle and was rushed to St. Francis Hospital, where he was later pronounced dead. Another victim survived after being wounded. What made the situation especially disturbing was the setting itself. Big Jook had reportedly been attending a repast, a post-funeral gathering for a relative named Eric Boven. This wasn't a nightclub altercation or random late-night violence. According to witnesses and reports, the shooting looks targeted from the start.
Y'all want to know the real reason Big Jook got killed? He was lazy. Yeah, I said it. Lazy. He ain't finished the job, man. You know, you can't just get rid of one piece and not get rid of the rest of the pieces. Yeah, and that's not it. He seen it coming. There's other stuff that happened here recently.
Witnesses described the suspects fleeing in a white Ford Explorer with dark-tinted windows and no license plates. Almost immediately, the city interpreted the attack as an organized ambush rather than spontaneous violence. And Big Jook wasn't just another Memphis name. At 47 years old, he held a powerful role inside CMG, the label built by his younger brother, Yo Gotti. Officially, he carried executive responsibilities. Unofficially, many people viewed him as one of the major connectors inside Memphis street and music politics. Later reports describing multiple gunshot wounds, including injuries to the head and neck, only intensified the perception that the attack had been calculated carefully. Then came the haunting detail people still bring up today. Just one day before his death, Big Jook posted a message online warning about betrayal. They don't want to face you, they want to snake you. Stay alert to stay alive. Watch your back at all times. After his death, the post spread everywhere.
You know, you don't depend on no. And then, you know, you should have had your own too. You know, you ain't nobody gonna protect me like me.
Yeah.
You know, so I don't give how long you been security or whatever the case may be. Ain't nobody gonna protect me like me.
Meanwhile, discussions around security failures started dominating Memphis conversations. Some local figures publicly questioned why someone with Big Jook's status allegedly lacked stronger protection during a public family gathering. Those conversations became some of the most replayed commentary clips connected to the case. Months passed, then a year, then another, and despite constant speculation, Memphis police still publicly maintained they had not announced major named suspects connected to Big Jook's murder. The white Ford Explorer never became the breakthrough people expected. Surveillance footage reportedly failed to publicly identify shooters. The case remained open while rumors continued multiplying online. That silence created the perfect environment for another question to take over Memphis conversations. Who would have wanted Big Jook dead badly enough to risk a hit like that? For many people in Memphis, the answer already existed long before Big Jook died. That answer centered around the murder of young Dolph and allegations that surfaced during the explosive court proceedings connected to his killing. On November 17, 2021, young Dolph, born Adolph Thornton Jr., was shot and killed outside Makeda's homemade butter cookies after stopping to buy cookies. Investigators said 2 gunmen arrived in a white Mercedes-Benz and fired multiple rounds using both a handgun and a rifle. The murder devastated Memphis. But what truly transformed the case into something even larger were later courtroom allegations. During court proceedings tied to the case, Alleged gunman Cornelius Smith reportedly testified that Big Jook played a role in organizing a $100,000 hit targeting young Dolph after years of tension involving diss records, label rivalry, and personal disrespect between CMG and Dolph's Paper Route Empire movement. Those allegations completely changed how many people viewed Big Jook's later death. Although Big Jook himself was never formally convicted or able to publicly defend himself against those accusations in court, the narrative had already taken hold online. For many people following Memphis street politics, retaliation became the dominant theory almost immediately after his murder. And once BEO Lil Kenny's name entered the conversation 2 years later, the internet connected everything together, whether authorities confirmed it or not. That's how the speculation exploded into one of the biggest Memphis hip-hop mysteries in recent years. The beef between young Dolph and Yo Gotti didn't suddenly appear in 2021. By the time Dolph was killed outside Makeda's homemade butter cookies, the tension had already been boiling for nearly a decade. What started as music industry competition slowly transformed into one of the darkest and most dangerous rivalries Memphis hip-hop had ever seen. The roots of the conflict trace back to around 2014, when Dolph reportedly turned down opportunities connected to Gotti's collective music group movement and instead doubled down on building his own independent lane through Paper Route Empire. At a time when many artists were chasing major label backing, Dolph moved the opposite direction. He proudly branded himself as independent, self-funded, and untouchable. That decision instantly created tension inside the Memphis rap scene. As the years passed, the rivalry escalated the same way most Memphis rap beefs do. First through sneak disses, then direct shots, then public humiliation records designed to disrespect the other side as loudly as possible. Dolph stopped keeping things subtle. Songs like Play With Your Bitch turned the conflict personal, with Dolph openly mocking Yo Gotti by name and turning the beef into entertainment for the internet. CMG-affiliated artists responded aggressively. Black Youngsta became one of the loudest voices in the conflict, adding fuel to an already volatile situation. Then the violence started matching the lyrics. In February 2017, Dolph survived a terrifying ambush in Charlotte, North Carolina, after his SUV was reportedly hit with more than 100 rounds. The only reason he survived was because the vehicle was heavily bulletproofed. Photos of the damaged SUV spread everywhere online, instantly becoming part of hip-hop history. But the violence didn't stop there. Just months later, in September 2017, Dolph was shot multiple times outside a retail store in Hollywood. Again, he survived, and again, the internet connected the dots immediately. At that point, people no longer viewed the conflict as rap entertainment. The feeling inside Memphis was that the beef had officially crossed into something much more serious. By the time Dolph was murdered in November 2021, the streets already understood the backstory without needing police explanations or media breakdowns. Everybody knew the timeline. Everybody knew the names involved. Everybody knew the tension between CMG and Paper Route Empire had been simmering for years.
That's why the courtroom testimony in 2024 shook Memphis the way it did. When Cornelius Smith reportedly testified that Big Jook orchestrated a $100,000 payment connected to Dolph's killing, many people felt like the final missing piece had clicked into place. The allegations transformed the narrative from rap beef gone wrong into something people described as organized retaliation operating at the highest levels of Memphis street politics. According to testimony presented during proceedings, the alleged payment structure was cold and calculated. Smith claimed the money was divided between the shooters and intermediaries tied to the operation. The image painted in court was disturbing, not random violence, but an organized hit allegedly connected to years of disrespect, diss tracks, and business tension. That testimony changed how many people later interpreted the killing of Big Jook himself. When Big Jook was shot outside Perignon's restaurant and event center in January 2024, the city immediately began drawing parallels to Dolph's murder before investigators even released major details publicly. To many observers, the two incidents appeared eerily similar. Public location, targeted vehicle, multiple shooters, fast escape, silence afterward. In the eyes of the streets, the similarities felt impossible to ignore. The retaliation theory spread even faster because people inside Memphis culture openly discussed it online. Some voices argued Big Jook's death was connected to unfinished business tied to the Dolph situation. Others described it as the inevitable cycle of Memphis street violence continuing exactly the way it always had. The logic was brutal. If Dolph's killing was allegedly revenge-driven, then Big Jook's murder looked to many people like revenge returning back the other direction. That atmosphere became the backdrop for everything involving BEO Lil Kenny in 2026. By then, Memphis YouTube channels and social media pages were already obsessed with finding out who killed Big Jook. Every arrest, every rumor, every suspicious lyric immediately got analyzed through that lens. So when Lil Kenny got pulled out of bushes after a high-speed police chase, the internet instantly attached the situation to the open murder investigation. And to a lot of online observers, Kenny seemed to fit the pattern perfectly. His music contained references to Memphis street culture, rivalries, violence, and local politics. Viral pages started pulling individual lyrics from old songs and pairing them beside details from the Big Jook murder. The internet framed certain bars like hidden confessions, even though many of the references were vague or already publicly known information. At the same time, people began dissecting Kenny's social media activity. Old Instagram posts resurfaced, freestyles got reposted, videos of him taunting rivals or speaking recklessly online became evidence in the eyes of internet detectives. Entire timelines were created trying to map his movements after Big Jook's death. Some commenters even argued he had been hiding in plain sight for over a year before the police chase finally brought attention to him. Inside the rumor mill, the story practically wrote itself.
To believers, BEO Lil Kenny was supposedly the man connected to Big Jook's killing, while Yo Gotti and CMG quietly waited for the streets to expose him. And once again, Yo Gotti's silence only intensified the speculation. Every cryptic post, every indirect lyric, every moment without a statement became interpreted as hidden confirmation. But separating internet mythology from actual facts tells a very different story. Here's what the verified public record actually shows. Yes, Memphis police reportedly chased BEO Lil Kenny in January 2026. Yes, he allegedly fled the vehicle and hid in bushes before officers detained him. That part is real. What the arrest was not connected to, according to publicly reported information, was Big Jook's murder. Reports surrounding the case stated Kenny faced charges tied to evading arrest, reckless driving, traffic violations involving tinted windows, and possible drug-related offenses. There were no publicly announced homicide charges connected to Big Jook, no murder indictment, no official statement linking him directly to the investigation. And perhaps most importantly, he was released within days. That detail alone heavily undermined many of the viral theories. In a major unsolved homicide case with national attention, suspects typically are not arrested and released almost immediately without major developments being publicly announced. After his release, Kenny addressed the rumors himself. In circulating clips, he denied involvement in Big Jook's killing and explained that investigators questioned him partly because online speculation around his name had become so widespread. According to him, the internet turned assumptions into accepted truth before facts were ever confirmed. Then came the phrase that spread everywhere online: "The internet is a dangerous drug." The statement resonated because it captured exactly what had happened. Real police footage, real grief surrounding Big Jook's death,
Real Memphis rap politics and real internet obsession had all merged into a viral narrative that many people accepted as fact long before authorities confirmed anything. And the actual investigative status of the case supported Kenny's denial more than the rumors. Public reporting continued, indicating that Memphis authorities had not officially named suspects connected to Big Jook's murder. No major Memphis news outlet publicly reported homicide charges against BEO Lil Kenny tied to the case. No indictment surfaced. No confirmed evidence connected him directly to the shooting. Even the so-called self-snitching lyrics lost weight under closer examination. Memphis rap as a genre is filled with violent imagery, references to rivals, coded street language, and broad descriptions of city conflict. Pulling isolated lines from songs and matching them to details from unsolved crimes often creates patterns that sound convincing online while proving very little under actual investigative standards. Many of the details people labeled inside information were already publicly available or generic enough to apply to countless situations across Memphis street culture.
Even the infamous bush footage became more symbolic than factual. Running from police and hiding after a chase does not establish involvement in a homicide. Suspects fleeing traffic-related arrests often attempt to hide nearby when they bail from vehicles. The internet transformed the bushes into symbolism, but symbolism isn't evidence. And as for the idea that Yo Gotti found Big Jook's killer, there is no verified public evidence supporting that claim either. Yo Gotti has never publicly identified BEO Lil Kenny as being connected to his brother's murder. CMG has not released statements naming suspects. Law enforcement has not publicly tied Kenny to the homicide investigation. The entire Yo Gotti found him narrative was built almost entirely through internet speculation and viral storytelling. Even inside Memphis, pushback against the rumors started growing before Kenny publicly denied involvement. Some widely shared posts from people claiming to know him personally dismissed the entire theory as fake news, amplified by social media algorithms and internet detectives hungry for closure. So, where does the story actually stand? The facts remain painfully simple. Big Jook was murdered in broad daylight outside a Memphis restaurant in January 2024. His family has waited more than 2 years for answers. The case remains publicly unsolved. No officially named suspects have been announced by authorities. BEO Lil Kenny was arrested in January 2026, but on traffic and evasion-related allegations, not murder charges. He denied involvement directly after release, and despite the viral headlines, no credible public evidence has officially connected him to Big Jook's killing. Which means the viral narrative about Big Jook's killer finally breaking silence after Yo Gotti found him remains exactly what it started as: a powerful internet rumor fueled by real tragedy, real street politics, in a city still searching for answers that law enforcement hasn't publicly delivered yet. Until authorities officially solve the case, the story surrounding BEO Lil Kenny will likely remain another chapter in Memphis history where rumor traveled faster than confirmed facts. Peace. Till next time, check out the next video on screen.